8:30. Ready by 8:30. I suppose. That's probably good.
What I need to do?
What? Just be everything's going, just so you're aware.
Okay, there was this post in this group.
Yeah.
About this dude catching a wild cat, like a cougar or something, and the post was hilarious. Do you remember me reading it to you and dying laughing, trying to keep a straight face?
Find it.
I'm gonna find it and then I'll read it.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Find it. Find it.
On my old phone.
Well, I'm sure you could search for it, right? AI and whatnot. It'll find it.
I'm not using AI.
It'll find. Yeah.
AI is the devil.
You use AI. Everybody use AI. Love you. Oh. Uh-oh. What happened? What happened? Hey, nerd. Zzz. Nerd zzz. TikTok, go to YouTube. You're not going to be able to see anything. There's going to be stuff up on the screen that you are missing out on TikTok. So you're going to want, I mean, I guess you could just listen, but there's some videos tonight. There's visual aids. I'm a visual aid kind of guy. So you're going to be missing out if you stay on TikTok. Go to YouTube, same username. There's also a link in my profile, blah, 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 blah. Go to YouTube, though. If you stay in TikTok, but you stay here the whole time, I don't know what's wrong with you. I'm telling you, your experience is going to be very low quality. I'm telling you that ahead of time because I am a kind fellow most of the time. Most of the time. Some wild stuff happened this week, y'all. And honestly, a lot of it was at the end of the week. Some of it was today. It was a very slow news week in general. And then Friday, we got hit with a few things. And then today, some stuff got released. Thursday had a decent bomb drop as well. And we're going to start with that. That's what you're looking at right now. That'll be interesting. We're going to wait like 2 minutes or so to actually get rolling, though. Hey, nerds. Hi, friends. Hey. Oh, Val, what's going on? Some stuff, man. There's some stuff. And honestly, I have not even looked in what y'all have in here. All right, well, while we wait, if you're watching this later, you're watching a recording because you're in Australia and the time zone doesn't work out. I say that because I was just talking to somebody in Australia who said they couldn't be here because the time zone doesn't work out. So if that is you, we have a Discord group. There is a link in the description of the video, in every video on my profile, or on my page, so you'll be able to find it. This is the Discord. You come in here, even if all you ever do in here is use the events tab. This tells you when we are live. We are live 3 times a week. We're live on Thursday nights, Saturday nights, and Sunday nights. Sunday night is a deep dive Bible study. It's verse by verse, word for word. We go through the Hebrew, we go through the Greek, the culture, the demographics, what else was going on in the areas? Why were these people acting this way? What was going on? Deep dive Bible study. I guarantee, I can almost guarantee you have never done Bible study the way that we do it. Maybe you have. If you have, you're a very, very, very small portion of the population. But that's how we do it. It's very good. It's very, very good. And then Thursday, we do the Theist Thesis podcast. That's a topic-based discussion. That is where I post a poll every Thursday night in here. And you guys tell me what we're talking about. So it looks like, next week we're going to be talking about pornography. So this is actually for the following week. The following week, we'll be talking about, it's a tie. So we're going to have a tiebreaker. It's either going to be turning the other cheek as a principle, because people, they spout this as a biblical principle, or it's going to be about the history of the Catholic Church. We had a tie, so we're going to have to run another poll. But this coming Thursday, we're going to be talking about pornography, what it's done to society, what it's done to marriages, what it's done to couples, what it does to kids. All of that jazz will be this Thursday at 7 o'clock Central Time. Bible study is tomorrow, Sundays at 6 p.m. Central Time. And what we're doing right now is news and culture. And this is at 7:30 Central Time. So join the Discord if you're interested in that. The first thing on the docket today, Ghost. You may be able to stay beautiful. Well, whatever you can pull off, man. You know, you gotta handle the family first. This is very low importance level in comparison to basically to anything, really, if we're being real. This is very low importance when compared to basically anything. I got some of your stuff, Ghost, too, which is always just delightful. All right. So first things first, this is interesting. I don't know how much you guys are like involved in the January 6th thing, and I mean, hopefully nobody was actually involved in it because they're picking people off one by one. But I mean, as a how do you say this? How do I say this? As a spectator, I suppose, if you've been following January 6th, I'm not going to play all of these because there's a lot of them. It's kind of in depth, but I wanted to just put this out here. I'm also going to put it in the chat. So if you care to look into this, look into it. That's the thread. It's Saturday Night Nerds Club. Good evening, Living Church. Is that what we call this? Saturday Night's Nerd Club? I had some good names for this thrown at me that we'll discuss another time, but some pretty decent names. Okay, so January 6th. This is Darren J. Beatty, something like that. Below, courtesy of Thomas Massey, who is a savage, is the most damning and explosive, just wait, J6 footage yet released. In my view, this will end up demolishing the regime's J6 narrative, and with it, a major pillar of Dems' 2024 strategy. You paying attention, Kamala? So basically what this is it's a short video. Well, it's not super short, but it's a video that shows where the pipe bomb was. So I'm going to try to make this as jam-packed as possible because, again, we're not going to go through all this footage, but it is all here. So if you care enough, you can see. This right here is a bench with a shady character wearing a white hood. Very classic. Very classic. They did a good job. So there are two sides of the aisle with the pipe bomb at January 6th. There is the side of the aisle that believes it was basically the feds and Secret Service. This is generally the right-wing crew. They believe this. On the other side, the more Democrat, the more, I don't like saying liberal, but at this point, it's basically what it is, even though it's not actually what liberal is. On that end of the aisle, they believe that it was right-wing conspiracy theorists, right-wing activists, yada, yada. Somebody put a pipe bomb under this bench. They insinuate it's the shady character in the white here. So what happened in all this footage is this shows the bench is just to the right of these vehicles over here. So if you were to walk just past this stoplight, the bench is right there. All of this footage was held. Nobody had it. So it was just assumed that the crazy right-wingers who stormed the Capitol and caused an insurrection, that they planted the pipe bomb. It was a whole big deal with Nancy Pelosi, blah, 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 blah. But basically, all this gets released. And there's a phone call that's traced to the security here, being aware that a bomb was reported at the bench just to the right of their vehicles, right here. The bench is right there. After they were alerted to it, they don't move. So there's no reaction by them. Now you have them zooming in on the pipe bomb down there. There's no reaction to it. There's no panic. There's no, oh my God, let's call the bomb squad. There's no nothing. There's no nothing. And then at one point, there are children that walk by after they've been alerted of the pipe bomb. There are children that walk right by it. Nobody bats an eye. Nobody cares. And then at one point, you see an officer go up to it, look at it, and then give somebody a thumbs up. Literally. Give somebody, one of the other security, Secret Service, a Fed, somebody over there, a thumbs up. Like, we're good. Got it. And then just walks away. So the insinuation that is being torn out here, this one shows it better. So that's the bench right there. This is Secret Service, police, and I believe there's FBI there. I'm not 100% sure. But at some point, one of them, an officer of the law in some regard, goes to the pipe bomb and then gives a thumbs up to his buddy. No alarm. There's no alarm. So what's being insinuated by all of this, and it is interesting if you care to kind of look through it, read through it, and listen to some people talk about it. What's being insinuated is that it was planted, right? And that it wasn't real. Because if Secret Service, the police, the feds, if they knew it was there and also knew that it was not real, they would not be alarmed, right? That makes logical sense. I'm not saying I land on the other side. I honestly don't know enough. But this alone is interesting, if nothing else. It's an interesting theory to what could have been the actual situation here. So that, I'll just leave that there. If you care enough to look, take a look. That's the guy, the shaman. You think it was the shaman in the white hood? Did you guys ever watch the footage that got released? There was like 2 months ago. The footage that they held long enough to send everybody to prison, including the shaman. And then they released, after a bunch of people had already done tons of time, they released all this footage. And you literally do just see Capitol Police walking these people through. It was like a guided tour. You see them pointing at things, explaining things. They're all laughing. They're smiling. It's like very chill, like 90% of it. There are the videos that show like, yeah, stuff got crazy at certain points. Things happened that shouldn't have happened. And in my opinion, those people should go to jail for some amount of time indicated by the law. But if you look at the people such as the shaman who were claiming verbally peace, to be peaceful, to be peaceful, and then we're actually engaging in like a literal tour of the Capitol. I don't know, man. It's very interesting the way that whole thing went down. Yeah, very calmly walking. And I think that doesn't even do it justice. They're pointing at things. The police are like explaining things to them. They're smiling. They're laughing at times. It's like, it was not an aggressive event. It was very odd. It was a very odd deal. Shannon, is Shannon here? You guys lie. Where's Shannon? You guys are liars. I don't see Shannon. Am I blind? I'm probably blind. Lilith, it's good to see you. All right, well, that's that. I just thought that was interesting. Breaking news as of Thursday, I believe. This is good stuff, too, if you haven't seen this. This is older. However, there's been an update to this, and we'll talk about it in just a second. So, shield your eyes.
S-A-F-E-T-Y. Safety dance. We can fly where you want to. We can leave your house behind. But if your friends don't mask, and why don't they mask? Well, they won't fly this airline.
You can fly if you want to, cause we do safety right. We have air that's clean and disinfectant machines zapping germs like an arcade space fight. And we dance to the dance, do the dance. Everybody wash some hands. Do the dance, while always wearing a mask. Do the dance, No, seriously, please wash your hands. Do the dance, Have the filters cleaning commence. Alaska safety dance. Alaska safety dance. Alaska safety dance.
Okay, why is this relevant? It's relevant because some stuff is happening with the FAA. So the FAA's diversity push includes focus on hiring people with severe intellectual and psychiatric disabilities. So one thing first, too, is the only reason I brought the song is because it's funny. What I wanted to show, and you can search for this, is I think it's the CEO. I could be wrong on this, but I think it's the CEO of United, I believe, or maybe the COO of United Airlines, who's like is publicly doing drag and things like this now. So he's obviously pushing kind of that ideological thing. But there's a video of, I believe it's United. I could be wrong, but there's a video of him doing like these wild dances in drag. And it really hit the street hard this week. And it was really funny. But then I stumbled on that and I just thought that was gold. That was absolute gold. Anyways, the FAA's diversity push includes focus on hiring people with severe intellectual and psychiatric disabilities. This sounds so far like a great idea. The Federal Aviation Administration is actively recruiting workers who suffer severe intellectual disabilities, psychiatric problems, and other mental, physical conditions under the diversity and inclusion hiring initiative spelled out on the agency's website. Targeted disabilities are those disabilities that the federal government, as a matter of policy, has identified for special emphasis on recruitment and hiring. The FAA's website states they include hearing, vision, missing extremities, partial paralysis, complete paralysis, epilepsy, severe intellectual disability, psychiatric disability, and dwarfism. Now, here's the thing. I am 100% for people who suffer and struggle with something that is totally outside of their control, having gainful employment. I think that's really important. That's something that we should, as a society, care about. Like, that should be a focus, no doubt. However, with absolute love and respect, I don't know if airlines are the place to do it. Perhaps some of them, and perhaps for some positions. But regardless of the position, there's a security risk at an airport. If you work, leaving a door unlocked, dropping a key, not seeing somebody walk to a certain place, not noticing that somebody's behaving in a certain way. There are a lot of things that could go wrong with people who aren't peak performance at an airport. And I would extend that to like even a lot of the TSA people that I've dealt with. I don't think they should be working at an airport. I think there should be a higher standard. I think they should be paid pretty damn well. And I think they should meet certain standards and guidelines to be able to work somewhere that is high risk. And I'll extend this further by saying at no point ever in history, in my opinion, should we have we had worse security at an airport when I think we should have the best security at an airport. Not half, but several airports across the nation are now literally housing foreign nationals. They're housing illegal immigrants, which regardless of how you feel about illegal immigration, whatever, there has to be somewhere else than an airport. We, as the US, we have a history of not great things always happening in airports. We all have a little bit of trauma, those of us who were alive during, 2011. Or I'm sorry, 2001. I just don't know if it's the place. So there's a lot of issues with that. There's a lot of issues with this. There's a lot of risks. There's a lot of liability. I just don't know if it's the greatest place to be doing that. What game? The Illuminati card game? Wait, what was the Illuminati game card for that one? I kind of remember seeing the card like in 2012. Eye and ear masks. The Illuminati game card. What is that? What is that? Is it an actual card game? This is I swear to God, every day we do this, you all make me feel completely uncultured. Completely uncultured. The initiative is part of the FAA's Diversity Inclusion Hiring Plan, which says diversity is integral in achieving. We already read that. The FAA, which is overseen by Secretary Pete Buttigieg, which if you don't know who that is, lucky you. He's an absolute train wreck. Pun intended. Department of Transportation is a government agency charged with regulating civil aviation and employs roughly 45,000 people. This is just all bad. This is all bad. I'm curious what the positions are. I tried to find how they justified it because I'm sure they'll say like they're doing janitorial work or they're maybe like Walmart, they're going to have a welcoming committee at the airport now. I'm not sure. Either way, it makes me very, very nervous. We are culture providers. That's true. That's fair. That's the positive perspective of it. Yes, that is the positive perspective of it. This just makes me really nervous. This makes me really nervous. If you talk to anybody who flies a lot in our industry that Kat and I are in, a lot of management flies a lot. And everybody that I have talked to, they feel less safe by the month, basically since COVID. When COVID hit, the feeling of comfortability and safety in an airport and on a flying piece of metal in the sky, the feelings that people have about flying, they're becoming less and less good. They're becoming much more uncomfortable with the idea of flying. So then something like this is just, it's nerve-wracking. There has to be something else we could make this initiative for. I'm all for the initiative. I'm 100% for it. I just don't like it in the aviation industry, personally. Maybe that's just me. Kat got me this. This is really good. For anybody who's not aware, there have been, this has been going on for years, is the reality, but it's starting to pick up again pretty heavily. So I believe this is France. Yeah, I believe this one's France. So France, Germany, and several other surrounding areas, since like the beginning of COVID, the governments in these areas have started to put extremely strict regulations on farming. And it's caused the short reason is they're trying to push farmers out of being able to do their job so that they can come in and co-opt the industry. That's what I have gathered since the very beginning, which again was like the beginning of COVID, but I guess it's been ramping up lately. So this is French farmers covering government buildings in feces. There's anybody who's just listening. There's trucks, tractors, trailers, all dumping literal crap all over city buildings, blocking streets. They're shooting liquid manure over gates, shooting what looks like, was that paper, hay, garbage. They're running amok to try to make a point. I mean, you got to respect it to a degree. There's thousands of vehicles out here blocking roads. They're protesting. They're protesting what the government is doing in terms of regulation that the farmers are now under. The regulations make it impossible for them to make any money. It makes it impossible for them to produce what they need to produce. And so this, again, it's been going on for quite some time now. There's a lot of talk that this is on its way to the U.S. And when that happens, I mean, food is the one thing that once that's taken control of by somebody who does not have your best interests at heart, that's kind of the beginning of the end, in my opinion, not to be a doom and gloom. I just uploaded it on tonight's Discord thread, Steve Jackson's game Illuminati. Okay, I'll look at it when we get off then. I'm excited. I'm very curious. I don't know. This makes me nervous. The farmer thing makes me nervous. I can't remember who I was listening to. It was in the past couple of weeks. Somebody was talking about the food issue, where once the government truly takes control of food, and it's outside of, like, a lot of farms are still kind of family owned. They've become bigger corporations in most cases, but to some degree, a lot of time the family's still involved. People who are connected to the farms in some way were still pretty heavily involved. That's becoming less and less. No doubt corporations are taking over. I mean, China is buying a bunch of farmland. But as far as like active food producing farms, a good bit of it is still in the hands of individual families and people who they love to do it. It's their passion. It's their history as a family. And they have, for the most part, good intentions, at least seemingly, and absolutely compared to the government. If the government begins to come in and take over the farming industry, like truly take over the farming industry, that's an extremely scary thing to think about. We would all not be around anymore. It's similar. I would say it like this. It's similar to that. If Greta Thunberg, who's the climate activist psycho, in my opinion, she wants to shut off fossil fuels like right now. If you did that, not everybody, but a huge, massive, incredibly not able to understand number of people would be dead. Tens of millions of people would die extremely quickly. The entire world and what you know of life would change in an instant if we just cut off fossil fuels. These people are idiots. Regardless of how you feel about climate change, whatever, you can't just cut off fossil fuel. It runs the entire planet. If you're going to do that, which I think is stupid to begin with, but if you're going to do that, it needs to be a very, 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 very slow process. Very, very, very slow. If you cut it, we all die for the most part. Tens of millions of it would be wild. It would be wild. There would be dead people everywhere. And I don't understand how people don't grasp that. But I see this as the same way. If food becomes completely under control of the government, I'm under the impression that the government, at least where I live, doesn't have my best interests at heart. Maybe I'm crazy for that, but I don't trust that. I don't in any way want the government to own the food more than they already do. It's a very uncomfortable feeling. I won't eat the bugs. Yeah, that's already happening. I've talked to some people about that, the whole eating bugs thing, and they're like, dude, that'll never happen. I'm like, it is. What do you mean? It is. There are cricket burgers. There are potato chips that are made out of bugs. People are already eating this stuff. So what are you talking about? It's really taken off in Canada, actually. The bug thing is not a joke. It's not a conspiracy. It's happening right now. It just hasn't come to you yet. That doesn't mean it's not happening. There are people who are eating it. And if you look it up, you can absolutely order this stuff like right now to your house. Bug farms. Bug farms are the future, man. You're going to have cricket burgers. Beef is going to be hard to find at some point, which is atrociously scary. And also just kind of gross. Although crickets, like, they do have decent protein when you eat them in massive numbers. All right. Breaking. White U.S. nationalists march in downtown New York City. So if you've been on Twitter at all today, it is coming. It is coming, Mikkel. It is coming. I mean, it's already here. It's already here, but it is coming to you soon. If anybody's been on Twitter today, you've probably seen this. It's blasted. It's been blasted everywhere because this is today. This happened today. So anybody who does not know, the far right wing Patriot Front, often labeled as anti-Antifa, is currently marching toward the World Trade Center in New York City with white masks and flags. I don't know why they add that, because that's what they always wear. You never see these guys without white masks and flags. In fact, they wear khaki pants, navy blue tops, white mask, tan hat, and then wear flags. Yeah. So here is them in New York City. Rodriguez and Mikkel. Here we go. Fed's gonna be feds. So again, for anybody who's ignorant to this, which you should be, because who knows, but if you read the comments for half of a second, you can kind of get a feel for what many people think of this. Dude, those are feds, the FBI. White US feds, I corrected it for you. LOL, feds doing fed things, probably trying to get one guy to join so they can arrest him. Patriots don't cover their faces, first clue, and definitely do not dress like that. Somebody quick put a tie on AirTag on their cute little flags so that we can see it go back to the J. Edgar Hoover building. So there's a bunch of these videos out here. This gentleman right here, there was a video earlier today that got taken down. I'm sure it's up again somewhere, but where I had it from was taken down. And he was talking about Muslims being communists. He was talking about, certain races other than white not being great. He was saying some things that would be inflammatory to many people. Like I said, I had the video and then it was removed. But he's just yelling here. They're just yelling about being patriotic, about keeping our country under our control, yada, 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 yada. But this is hitting the headlines. The big thing right now, not right now, the big thing always has been people always think that they're feds. Whether it's a small minority of them, whether it's the vast majority of them, that's a common belief. I'm not saying what I think about any of it. I'm just giving you some information there. In New York City, of all places. What was that one protest with dudes dressed like that where, God, I hate YouTube chat, where others were heckling them for being feds? It was last year, maybe 2 years ago. I know what you're talking about. It was them. I don't remember the protest, though. Kat, your comment of New York City is a cesspool. I had to approve that. Why would YouTube block that? New York City is a cesspool. It has been for a very long time. Anyways, this is, not really news. It's just kind of funny. Depending on your opinion of who they are, it's just kind of funny. Here's the good stuff. So if you're not politically driven, I'm going to give the best snapshot I can as somebody who's also not very politically driven. We're in a weird situation right now with the Republican primaries. We had Donald Trump, we have Nikki Haley, and we had Vivek Ramaswamy. The rest are kind of irrelevant, if we're being honest. Nikki Haley is an absolute war hawk. She is the antithesis of anti-war, meaning she's very much into war. If you trace her financials, she has gained all of her actual wealth on the back of war. So it's a big thing for her. She's a big fan. People call her, they have a cute name for it, but basically they compare her to Hillary Clinton, which I think is relatively accurate in her politics at the very least. In her demeanor, I would say kind of also. But that's Nikki Haley. Okay, so on the Republican primary, we have Nikki Haley. We had Vivek. Vivek just dropped out last week. And we have Trump. So what's happening right now is Democrats are playing what you can't hate the game because they're allowed to do it and they're playing the game. So Republicans are very worried because Democrats are switching. They're crossing party lines in order to vote for Nikki Haley to try to push Trump out in hopes that because Nikki Haley is basically a Democrat, in hopes that if Nikki Haley gets the spot, then she would have, she would be against Biden, is what many people are thinking. In which case, most Democrats are happy either way. Because if they get Biden, well, they're already happy with Biden. How? I have no fucking clue. But they're already happy with Biden, so cool. And if they're able to push Trump out, they've got Nikki Haley in there, who is basically a Democrat. So either way, it's kind of a win-win from the left in general. So this is somebody asking a woman about this situation because she crossed party lines.
My name is Hella Ross, and I live here in Rochester, New Hampshire.
So tell us about your thinking for the primary on Tuesday.
Well, my thinking is that I changed my party affiliation from Democrat to undeclared so that I could participate in the Republican primary and cast my vote for Nikki Haley, who I think is has the most experience, broad experience, and is the most qualified to be able to take on Trump, because the whole goal is to make sure that Trump is not the nominee. Nikki Haley has broad experience. She was the U.S. ambassador to the UN, so she has international know-how. She's got great political chops.
Can anybody else not hear it? It's coming through the stream just fine for me. It's low, but it's going. I can't get it any louder than that. Can you hear it enough? Otherwise, I'll just explain. I mean, what I said is basically the explanation, but I can explain more. Let me know real quick if you can hear it or not. All right, yeah, it's coming through on the stream for me. All right, Rodriguez, that might be, just turn up your volume or something.
Governor of South Carolina, before that, treasurer. She's an accountant, which we need. With our $34 trillion debt, she wants to reduce that, and she says that she's going to do that because she is an accountant and she has a lot of experience in that field. She's a woman of color. She's an Indian American, and she's a military spouse. She has 2 children, so she's really well qualified in a lot of different areas.
And what is at stake then with this decision on Tuesday between Donald Trump, Ron DeSantis, and Nikki Haley?
Well, what is at stake is our democracy, basically, and we need to make sure that Donald Trump is not the nominee. I'm hoping it's Nikki Haley. I think she's better suited for the presidency than Ron DeSantis. But if it's Ron DeSantis, we'll have to see what happens there, as long as it's not Trump. That's the main goal.
Great, thank you very much.
So it's just that. It's an intelligent thing to do. It makes sense. It puts yourself in a position to basically win either way. In a way, win either way, rather than having Trump. What she said is kind of the view for many, even in my life, some people that kind of surprise me. They'll do anything to just not have Trump in. There's that much hatred of Trump that they will have anybody, even if it's Nikki Haley. And sure as shit, we're going to World War III, no doubt, if Nikki Haley gets in office. There's no doubt. We're already in the beginning stages of World War III. If you don't think that, with love, I think you're delusional. We're already there. If Nikki Haley gets in, or anybody else who is a proponent or who finances, who has a financial benefit from war, it's absolute. It's absolute. So fun stuff there. So speaking of that, Hezbollah of Iraq statement: we attacked the U.S. base in Iraq. In continuation of our path in resisting the American occupation forces in Iraq and the region, and in response to the massacres of the Zionist entity against our people in Gaza, the fighters of the Islamic resistance in Iraq attacked the occupied Ain al-Assad base in western Iraq with a rocket barrage. The Islamic resistance confirms its continuation in striking the enemy's strongholds. So this was a response to, well, there it is right there. So there's reports of U.S. military casualties. It has not been confirmed. It says breaking U.S. casualties reported after base attack in Iraq. Multiple reports of U.S. military casualties from a massive missile strike on Ain al-Assad base in Iraq. U.S. officials have not yet confirmed those reports, though. So potentially U.S. soldiers went down with that. My understanding with this is that it's actually not a U.S. military base, and I could be wrong. I am very ignorant, but from what I was looking at, it's not actually a U.S. military base. It's an Iraq base that houses U.S. troops. Slight difference, but difference all the same. And if U.S. soldiers were on site, and if U.S. soldiers were injured or killed, it's kind of irrelevant whose base it was, in my opinion. Either way, that's bad news. But things are progressing. We talked about some stuff last week with the Houthis. We're talking about this now, this week. Another thing, all these cargo ships are getting hijacked right now by the Houthis, is, again, my understanding with my limited, naive political grasp, but cargo ships are being hijacked. So, I mean, we're going to see some changes in just economics due to that. It's going to be a problem. I watched a video today of Houthis dropping in on a cargo ship from a helicopter, and they literally recorded it like a commercial. It was pretty theatrical, and it was well choreographed, and they took the cargo ship. It's gearing up, man. It's gearing up. Rodriguez, if anything, I'm going to need a blood pressure pill to get through politics, not wine. No, that's part of the liberty of it all. Switch parties if you want. Yeah, sure. Would you really say that, though, that's not that it's not fair and not that it's not legal? Sure, you're allowed to do it. Is it honest? Is it with integrity to switch to, switch party lines to manipulate? It's not illegal. You can do it, but it's manipulation. By definition, it's manipulation. I don't mean it in a dark way, but I mean, the word manipulation is what that is. They're manipulating the voting to try to end up with somebody that they want, regardless of who it is. It just can't be this one guy. I don't know. I think it lacks integrity is my opinion. And I'm not necessarily a Trump fan. I think that's it's perfectly legal, but it lacks integrity. Hamas hostage baby turns 1. As Netanyahu faces increasing pressure and criticism over his failure to return the hostages held in Gaza, the youngest turns 1 today. Israel President Herzog held up his picture while addressing the WEF conference in Davos. Hamas claimed another group was holding the baby and later claimed he had been killed in an Israeli airstrike. The IDF says these claims have not been verified. This kind of goes to show this is the weird thing about, I think, being in the US sometimes. And maybe it's everywhere, but it's a weird thing of not being super tuned into specific things at specific times. The Ukraine war really started like in 2014. Again, that's my understanding. This thing with Israel and Gaza, I mean, realistically, it's been going on forever, right? It's been on and off forever. But this most recent conflict, I think, what was it, October? Yeah, October or November when it started, quote unquote. Well, actually, not really. It actually started before that. These things always actually seem to always have started long before kind of the general public becomes aware of it. It's like there's a catalyst at some point that really brings it home, and then it's finally brought into the public sphere. And with the way the media works right now, that's obviously intentional. So it's just something that I think about. Is it why? Why do they do the when they do the when? Why? And sometimes it's obvious, and sometimes it's not as obvious. And sometimes I wonder with the Israel-Gaza thing. But that's really sad. That's a baby who's a hostage has gone a full year as a hostage. That's brutal. It's rough. That's no good for either side. It's a very sad state of affairs with that. Cheating and lying is a part of politics. Yes, agreed. But should it be? Is my point. That's my point. Should it be? I think my whole point is that we need integrity in politics. And I don't know if I can say again, because I don't know if there really ever was, but I'd like to think that, in the very beginning, there was more integrity. It seems from if you look at the history, it seems there was more integrity. Maybe it wasn't complete integrity, but there was more integrity. I wish we could get back to a place of having some integrity, where it wasn't just a game of basically money is the root of all of it. Of all of why anything happens in politics, essentially, is money. From the presidential campaign to lobbying, it's essentially all money driven. I mean, much like basically everything else in the world, though, if you're being honest. Doing anything under false pretenses should be against the law. I don't disagree. Any person or group that has to cheat is the weaker person or group by default. I also agree with that. Cheating is a self-owned by implications alone. That's well put. Yeah. I stand by statement. Why now? Why now what, Mikkel? Can we at least admit it's wrong instead of excuse? Yeah, that's my thing. Do whatever you got to do, baby, to win. Do whatever you got to do. I'll always admit that the Democrats played a better game last election. I don't agree with it. I don't like it. I don't think it has, again, integrity, but they played a better game. Their ground game was better. I don't necessarily think Trump had the election stolen. I think it's a possibility. But I'm not one of these people that's like, Trump absolutely had the election stolen. I don't know. But I wouldn't be surprised if that was total BS. The Democrats know how to get shit done. The Republicans don't. Republicans were weak as hell. Ground game was poor. And let's be real, they're not as dirty in the political game. And again, the rhino Republicans absolutely are, but they don't really care who's president because either way they're going to benefit. But call them true Republicans. They're lazy. They've been lazy. I think this time around, there's been a lot more movement. There's been a lot more heart. It seems like there's been a lot more involvement. So maybe that'll be different. But last time around, the Democrats were just better at the game. As much as it pains me to say it, it's the truth. And to me, in my opinion, it's the truth. Why would anyone support clear cheating? It's weird. Agree. Lobbyists, have they ever had integrity? No, but that's my point, man. That's my point. That is my point. Why can we not just say hey, let's not do shady shit anymore? How about that? Can we all just agree to not be shady? I know realistically that's never going to happen. But shouldn't that be the dream? Shouldn't that be what we're gunning for? Especially people like us. There's 9 people here right now. Of us 9 people, can 9 of us not agree hey, let's not cheat at politics. Let's have integrity again. Let's not fund pharmaceutical companies and pass drugs that aren't ready to be passed because somebody's going to profit from that. Can the 9 of us sitting here not agree? Because I think if we can't, that's a testament to why the country's fucked. Excuse my language. But that's sad. In my opinion, that's sad. Politics should just be what they are. Who wins, wins. Shady games, no more. If it was just left to who ran a better race, who did a better job, who had better ads, who captured the demographics better, that's all fair game. And there's a lot of different avenues for that I think you could still call, or you could still say had integrity. I think what's happening right now, you can't say there's any integrity. It's dirty. It's a dirty thing to do. It's lying, which as a Christian, I don't know why anybody would support. If we're saying I'm going to lie about my affiliation in order to nick somebody that I don't like and get somebody in who's absolutely going to start World War III, it's lying. We're lying. I don't like that personally, but that's just my opinion. Call me old-fashioned, I suppose. All right, Canada prepares to expand assisted death amid debate. Toronto, December 11th. Canada is preparing to expand its medically assisted death framework to become one of the broadest in the world. A change some want to delay due to concerns vulnerable people have easier access to death than a life without suffering. Starting in March, people whose sole underlying condition is mental illness will be able to access assisted death. I'm going to say that again. So get off politics for a second and get back into your Christian frame of mind. Starting in March, people whose sole underlying condition is mental illness will be able to access assisted death, aka being killed by the government with your approval. Mental illness was excluded when the most recent Medical Assistance in Dying, or MAID, law was passed in 2021. That will make Canada one of 6 countries in the world where a person suffering from mental illness alone who is not near their natural death can get a doctor to help them die. People will still need to apply and be deemed eligible by 2 clinicians who must determine whether they have an irredeemable condition causing them intolerable suffering and whether they have a capacity, whether they understand and appreciate their condition. I love that they use the word appreciate their condition, the decision, and its consequences. Why do we live in death culture? That's my question. Look around. Look around. We live in death culture. This is the culture of death. Some slower death, some quick death like this, but just general death. The things that are pushed to us and our children they have an underlying tone of death. Assisted suicide. Death. It's insane. It's insane. I don't know if when I was like 15 or 16, if somebody told me this would be like a major thing, where up in Canada, I've been to Canada several times. Canada was cool when I was there, when I was younger. Like, it was all right. But if somebody told me during those times that in 10 years and 15 years, Canada will be helping kill you with your approval and the approval of 2 doctors. More than 30,000 Canadians have died with medical assistance since it became illegal in 2016. More than 10,000 of them in 2021. Accounting for 3.3% of Canadian deaths that year, according to official data. 3.3%. That, in terms of population, is fucking scary. That's insane. That's wild. This is death culture. The big push on abortion, death culture. Euthanasia, death, at least in that you could make, like, I've heard arguments for euthanasia in very specific circumstances, just like I've heard arguments for abortion in very specific circumstances. But if in this stat, we're talking 3.3% of Canadian deaths in 2021 were assisted suicide, euthanasia, we'll use that term instead, euthanasia. If you were to take those odd fringe cases, say the argument for euthanasia in these very fringe specific scenarios would be less than like 0.005%. We're talking 3.3% of deaths in 2021 were assisted. That's insane. Those are insane numbers. 30,000 Canadians since 2016. In the 4.5% in the Netherlands and 2.4% in Belgium were all medically assisted. That's wild. That's wild. This is our culture. Yes, to reduce the population. There's no other actually there are. To reduce the population and to relieve the strain on resources. You have to take that into account too, right? Why are they making us eat the bugs? Well, because it's hard to feed all the people on the planet. To some degree, that's true. It's why we have factory farming. It's why we have fake food. It's why we synthesize vitamins instead of actually getting them from real food. We synthesize them in laboratories. It's why we have lab-grown meat. We have all these things because we have a limited ability to produce resources and get it to the population. So it is to reduce the population. But it also, and it's tied together, but it's also to reduce the draw on resources, which is still the population. It all draws back to that. It's an insane thing, though. This culture is an insane thing. Kill your kids before they come out. And when they do come out, if they have a mental illness that 2 doctors say is severe enough, we'll kill them anyways. It's all good. That's wild. 4.5% in Netherlands. That's really, really sad. That's really, really sad. As long as people have their flaming hot Cheetos, Mountain Dew, and Netflix, who cares about government corruption? That's right. That's right, baby. Placate. Ow, I broke my wrist. Have you tried dying? Yo, have you guys seen? I should have tried to find it. I'll try to find it maybe for next week. There's oh God, what was it? I'm going to butcher it. I'll find it. But there's a commercial for, I think it's parody, if I remember right. It's been a while. But there's a commercial, I think parody for the euthanasia thing in Canada. And it was jaw dropping, I guess is the best way to say it. It was jaw dropping. I'll try to find it. It's funny because it's so sad. It's so sick that this is like, people are like, no, I get it. That makes sense. Like, no, it fucking doesn't. No, it doesn't at all make sense. Not even a little bit doesn't make sense. Decrease the surplus population, thinning, sheep. Unclog the streets, Bill Burr. Mikkel, did you not know? Y'all need to go back and read the Declaration of Independence. Maybe we should read it live all together. I'd be down for that. Less people equals less specialized technology, production, etc. Yeah, I mean, so on that note, that's a good point. And I was actually talking to Kat about this the other day. Less population, it's exactly what you said. Less people, less specialization, less specialized technology, production, etc. True. And then I think about it like this. You have a family who would have 5 kids. Now, be conservative. Would have 3 kids. Instead, because of the push towards depopulation, they have 1 kid. Now extrapolate that across the nation, across the world. We're talking massive numbers of people that are just not being born. What are we losing on civilization advancement by not having these people? That's what I think about. And like, maybe I'm weird, but that's what I think about, is how many people who would have brought us really cool shit aren't being born because they're being aborted or they're being euthanized or whatever. They're not able to live. What kind of cool stuff would we have? Where would society be in 100 years if this wasn't happening? I would guess it's going to dramatically change the entire trajectory of society as a whole. And I just wonder about that. I wonder, what will be lost because of this? Make the pre-industrial age great again, I guess. Yeah. I think something's going to happen, man. Everything's going to get wiped out. To some degree, it's going to get wiped out. But medical bills are insane. We also can't afford to live if we're sick. I mean, Canada has socialized medicine. So if we're talking about Canada, I mean, they have socialized medicine. It's garbage, but they have it. I love them. Relationship goals. Unless we unalive our own. I hate that word. Where did unalive came from? You not being allowed to say suicide. My channel already is completely bogged by the algorithm, so I don't care. But you can't say suicide on YouTube and you can't say it on TikTok. So on TikTok, people started saying unalive and it just caught on across all social media. Because TikTok used to literally take your video down if you said suicide. So it just became a thing because of TikTok. It came from censorship, where most slang comes from. Yep. Can't say the K or the M word without algorithm deranking you. Yeah, we're already as deranked as could be. If you have to ask if something offended someone, the answer is yes. End of story. Keep up. Yeah, you're not old. It's how FJB came about too. Most slang is because of censorship historically. Yeah. Yeah. Isn't that sad? That's sad. Building a Faraday cage around my house. Valerie, it's crazy talking to people who are in the age range to be parents and how most people seem to only want to have 1 or 2 kids when our parents, grandparents come from families usually between 4 plus. Yeah, my mom was one of 9. One of 9. I think my dad was just 3. I think there was 3. Yeah, 9 kids. Like, that was relatively normal. Nowadays, if you say, have you 9 kids, the first thing someone says to you is, are you Mormon? 20 years ago, nobody asked that. You said you have 9 kids. They're like, oh, cool. What are their names? How old are they? It was like a very normal thing. Now, if you have 2 kids, people look at you a little bit odd. If you have 3, odd. More than that, you're Mormon. Is basically the new rule. Rod is trolling. She's literally 24. I've seen her pic. All right. What time is it? Oh, shoot. We got to roll. All right. This is going to be quick. Author comes out as transgender man after his wife came out as trans woman. And pair who have a trans daughter now live in a 4-way open relationship with their trans lovers. So everybody's trans is the point. I don't really have anything else to say about this. I just want you to be aware. This is culture. This is what we're doing on Saturday nights. I don't really want to talk about it I just want you to be aware. The statistical probability of this being organic is essentially 0. And that's all I want to say. The statistical probability of all these people being trans all of a sudden, or at all, from birth or changing at some point, is basically 0. That is all. This one will be quick too. San Antonio police officers hired by Catholic Charities, other NGOs, to guard illegal immigrant facilities. These are a lot of videos, so I'll just kind of explain what's happening, or my understanding of what's happening. I want to speak very carefully when we do this stuff on Saturday. So there are reports that certain Catholic charities in San Antonio, as well as NGOs, and for those who don't know, we've talked about it before, but non-government organizations that, in my understanding, are essentially just not labeled government organizations. It just allows them leeway to do things that the government isn't technically or legally allowed to do. That's my understanding. So NGOs and some Catholic charities are hiring San Antonio police officers to basically be security for migrant camps and things like that. You might think like, wow, so what? That makes perfect sense. No, it doesn't. That's not being run through proper channels. That they wouldn't be hiring them, right? Think about that for a second. Catholic charities and non-government organizations they're hiring police officers. It's a side gig. So they're going outside the normal restraints of the law. And when you see these videos, they're dressed in their uniform. They're carrying a sidearm. We are teetering on illegal things, is my understanding. It just all goes to say that regardless of how you feel about illegal immigration, I don't think it matters, because, I mean, that really matters, but with what I'm talking about right now, it doesn't matter. There are a lot of weird things that are happening in conjunction with the immigration where laws are being broken by people that like shouldn't be breaking the law. And they don't seem to care. If you watch these videos, I'll leave this in the comments or in the chat too, in case anybody wants to look at it. But if you watch the videos and you listen to them, try to talk to these police officers, it's weird. Everybody's behaving very, very weird. Just like when you see these guys go and talk to the NGOs, everybody's behaving very, very weird. Everybody is there's an agreement that's made. Everybody knows what to say. It's odd. It's very odd. It seems very clear that everybody knows they're doing something they should not be doing, and they're engaging in things they should not be engaging in. And it just gives you this confident feeling that what is happening, regardless of how you feel about the actual immigration, what is happening around the immigration is wrong. Something about it is absolutely wrong. And they know it. The guys and gals in these NGOs, charities, and the police now in San Antonio, when they're being talked to, you can see guilt on people's face. You can see uncomfortability on somebody's face. And I've seen a lot of it now at this point, and it makes me very, very uncomfortable. We talked about the border last week. Maybe we'll get back into it next week. But this is just, it's not cool. Hiring police officers and then keeping them in their official government uniform to work non-government jobs, government sidearm to work non-government jobs. It's odd, man. It's very odd. It's very abnormal. And then I'm going to hit this real quick, and then I'm going to go into the stuff that's in the Discord. And then I got to roll tonight. I can't stay on super long. FBI knew about the school massacres discussion Discord server that Iowa mass shooter was member of weeks before the attack took place. It has been revealed that a Discord server dedicated to discussing school shootings, to which the 17-year-old who carried out an attack at Perry High School was a member, had been brought to the attention of the Federal Bureau of Investigation weeks before. While the server was shut down prior to the January 4 attack, the FBI reportedly failed to take action to ensure none of the members actually went on to act out any of the things they had talked about. According to NBC News report, the school massacre discussion server was flagged by a fellow user and sent to the FBI in November. An agent reached out to the user for more information, but when additional screenshots were provided, they never heard anything back. So all of this information was provided to the FBI. They chose to sit on it and do nothing. It has also been revealed that the aforementioned account sent messages to a Discord group right before the attack. Via his online alias, Butler told his friends he was effing nervous and in the bathroom gearing up. He also posted a video from the bathroom to TikTok under the Took Too Much account. Just minutes later, Butler complained about the presence of a black fellow student. There's a word I'm not going to say in the bathroom. He wrote, "I need him to leave so I can assemble my guns." Why? There's so many different things here, really. Big picture wise. The fact that the FBI knew and didn't do something seems to be kind of a common theme. It seems to be something that just keeps coming up. And then when you go past that to things, speculation, in my opinion, where the FBI is potentially directly involved in certain things, it's an alarming place to be in. And then when you hear people like Vivek Ramaswamy, who isn't Trump, has relatively tame views for the most part, in my opinion, relatively tame views. I mean, if you're super Democrat, then you'd be like, no, he's a fucking extremist. But if you're like centrist, if you're kind of in the middle, like most people actually are, Vivek's got pretty standard views on a lot of things. Where he goes super, super far that makes a lot of people nervous is his views on the three-letter agencies, the CIA, the FBI, the FDA. He wants to completely destroy them, essentially. At least I believe it's a 60% cut is what he was talking about, because he would have had the right to do that were he elected into office. But the more you see stuff like this, the more you wonder, kind of get where he's coming from, at least to some degree. You get where he's coming from. If the FBI is knowing about things and not doing anything about it, if the FBI is participating in things and igniting or stoking the flames of certain situations, that's not a good look. At the very least, it's not a good look. So at a point, it's not super surprising to hear Vivek talk about wanting to dismantle the FBI. The sad thing is, though, too, that the FBI also does a lot of good work. So it's like, I wonder how big that portion of the FBI is, because I personally know somebody who still currently to some level works for the FBI. He worked directly as an FBI agent for a long time. Real good dude. Trust him with my life. So it's not like it's all FBI agents. I would assume it's kind of I would assume it's like a fringe part of the FBI that is actually engaging in these types of things and is ignoring. So that the FBI does really good work. That's my point. And I feel like the super right wing side has completely turned their back on the FBI, which I get it. But at the same time, I think it's a wrong response, because there are plenty of FBI agents who are doing their job. Child sex trafficking and things like that. The FBI is participating in stopping it. They are doing things about it. So it's not that simple to just say the FBI is corrupt. The system might be corrupt, but that does not speak for all FBI agents. It doesn't speak for all FBI teams. There are things that are happening. There are things that they do that are absolutely good, and it's really hard to argue that. All right, Ghost, what do you got here? Oh, shoot. Hold on. Oh, shoot. Sorry. I'll read it to you guys just in case you're not looking. How it started. Pritzker signs immigrant protection bills Monday, August 2nd, 2021. Springfield, Governor J.B. Pritzker signed 4 bills into law Monday aimed at protecting the state's immigrant and refugee population, saying they will help make Illinois the most welcoming state in the United States for immigrants. How it's going.
my hope is that they'll get something done. But not enough has been done. There's no doubt about that. And I think that the president needs to do more. The Congress needs to do more. Cities out here that are the target of this political game that Governor Abbott is playing are suffering. And here in Illinois, it's minus 29 degrees outside with the wind chill. We have migrants that arrive from Texas virtually every day, hundreds, and we don't have places to put them. We don't have enough shelter space here. There are plenty of other cities where, you know, if he's going to send people, they could be sent. But no, he's choosing only Democratic states, Democratic cities.
It's got somebody smashing like food. It says Democrats, when you send migrants to their sanctuary cities, they hate it. What the hell? Yeah, it is my neck of the woods, man. It is my neck of the woods. It's getting wild out here. I'll tell you that. I'm sorry, but yeah, Vivek as Secretary of State would be beautiful.
We're going to seal up the border. Because right now we have an invasion. We have an invasion of millions and millions of people that are coming into our country. I can't imagine why they think that's a good thing.
Donald Trump declaring victory with a historically strong showing in the Iowa caucuses. If these numbers hold, the biggest victory for a non-incumbent president in the modern era for this contest. A relatively subdued speech as these things go so far, although here he is right now under my voice. You hear him repeating his anti-immigrant rhetoric. He did take time to praise his rivals, Haley and DeSantis and Ramaswamy by name. Rather un-Trump-like to do that. Gracious, but perhaps a sign of some message discipline, at least for one night. Under my voice, you hear him repeating his anti-immigrant rhetoric.
CNN covering up the border crisis. Yeah, no, Rodriguez, he was talking about housing. I live there. I live here. He's talking about housing. It's not about them working. He's saying they're bringing them up from the southern border. And basically what's happening here right now, because Kat and I are here, there are tent cities everywhere. They're sleeping outside. All of the indoor housing has been gone for months and months and months. So there are tent cities everywhere now. That's what he's talking about. Our overpasses have now become tent cities. It's housing 100%. In that situation, at least, with Pritzker, it's housing.
Our vibrant facility offers delightful activities and outings. Round-the-clock professional care. At White House Senior Living, our residents feel right at home. Our vibrant facility offers delightful activities and outings, round-the-clock professional care, and exquisite house-made meals.
Well, I've been eating everything that's put in front of me. I've been eating all Italian foods, basically.
And ice cream.
And ice cream, chocolate chip ice cream.
White House Senior Living, where residents feel like presidents.
I love that so much. I saw that the other day. Oh, Kat, you dropped that. Good.
We're here on the scene in this Republican county where African Americans are being oppressed by horrific new voter laws, forcing them to acquire a legal ID to vote. Excuse me, sir. You're unable to acquire an ID, are you not?
Actually, I just renewed my ID. It's pretty easy, actually.
There you have it. This poor black man has been disenfranchised by racist voter ID laws because he's too ignorant. I'm sorry. Ignorant means stupid. Too ignorant to acquire a voter ID. Absolutely tragic. We're here on the scene in this Republican.
That's really funny because there's another guy. I can't remember. I don't remember what his name is. I'm sure you could find it. But there's another guy who, from my memory, he walked around. I think it was New York He walked around New York and just stopped a bunch of black people in the street and asked them about IDs. And everybody told him they had an ID. And it looked like he wasn't in an affluent neighborhood. He wasn't in a rich place. He was all over talking to different people from different demographics, different walks of life, if you will. And every single person said, yeah, I have an ID. And I can't remember why this is in my head, but I think one of them went so far as like, maybe it was actually on a different show that I was watching where they explained this, but where somebody like gave him directions to the DMV and expressed how to get the ID. So the ID thing is so racist. It's so racist to say that we need to do this because black people can't get IDs. It's so racist to say that. I've never known a black person who didn't have an ID. They exist. I would assume just as much as to be crass, just to make a point, extremely, I won't even say it because I don't want to offend somebody, but super, super poor, stupid white people would also probably not have IDs to the same level. To say it's about race is ridiculous. In my opinion, it's ridiculous. You can make possibly a case for social status. If you're super broke, like very broke, you don't work, you're not involved in community or society in any way, sure, it might be hard to get an ID. I know that once you're homeless and you've been homeless, it's really hard to get an ID. So in those scenarios, sure. But for people who function in society, I think it's BS. I think everybody has relatively equal access to state identification. I've always just thought that was so wild, so wildly racist to say black people are not smart enough to be able to get an ID. It's insane.
Meanwhile, 7-Eleven is always ready with everyday essentials.
Pato, what are you doing? See, this is a dream. When you make money, you get to afford to buy some high-end type of food. And nothing says more high-end than hot dogs at 7-Eleven.
You want me to pay for it?
I saw that on Twitter the other day. I love PBD. He's so lovely. Him and Vivek, man. Lovely men. Lovely gentlemen. All right, this is from Mikkel. Last one, and then we're out of here. Oh, this is the Illuminati thing. Okay, well, if anybody was in the chat wondering what they were talking about earlier, Steve Jackson Games Illuminati. Cat, buy it. Interesting. Oh, this looks wonderful. Includes 110 cards, 2 custom dice, tokens, and a rule sheet. Classic designed by gaming legend Steve Jackson. Illuminati provides 1 to 3 hours of conspiracy for 2 to 6 players, ages 13 and up. Control your own faction of the Illuminati. I love this. This is fantastic. This is beautiful. I'm in. Well, all right, we're going to buy it. We're going to buy it. All right, guys, I'm going to get out of here in just a second. Just see if I missed anything of importance. I got to stop staying on these like 2 hours, man. It's killing me at night. It's killing me. I'm getting to bed so late. Yeah, the video is great, Kat. The Biden retirement home, the White House retirement community is so good. Oh yeah, I should have said that. So anybody who is not aware, the Biden White House retirement community video, Trump made that. His people made that. They put that out, which just makes it that much sweeter. Yeah, I'm gonna buy the cards, Ghost. I'm gonna have Kat buy the cards. I want the game. I want to play the game. Maybe we do group. Can you? I gotta look at it. If you can play it like over Zoom, essentially, we could do game night in Discord one night. Rex Bear has gone through the Illuminati cards, especially after an event happenings. Oh, okay. So real quick. I want to see. We're thinking about doing a movie night again, but it's not going to be theology. Actually, it kind of is. It kind of is. Kind of is. It's going to be different though. I'm trying to pull it up right now. Just give me a second. Oh, God, I hate he changed all his stuff. All right, here it is.
We don't.
All right. Anybody who's super, no, I think this should be open to everybody. All right, so there's a show, and love him or hate him, I'm not a huge fan of the individual. I watched the show, which sounds stupid, but there's a lot of good information that comes out in the show. There's a lot of good guests. I enjoy it. Tim Pool kind of drives me insane, but for those reasons, I watch. He's got another show besides Timcast IRL. He's got this. It's called The Culture War. It's on Tenet Media now at Move Channels. But anyways, he had this the other day, and I sent this to Ghost, and I sent it to Kat. Ghost was already watching it. I sent it to Kat. I had her watch it. She's going to watch it again. But we were talking, and I think we want to make this the next movie night that we do. And from the title, you're like, why the hell would we listen to that? They tie it into the Bible a good bit, actually, a decent amount. But even the parts that they're not referencing the Bible, it's really, really interesting. Regardless of what you think about climate change and what you think about, like the mud floods and things like this, doesn't matter. All of the information is super interesting. It's very broad. They talk about a bunch of different stuff. So I think we're gonna do this, even if it's just a few of us in there. I want to watch it again personally. So I'm like, why not just watch it again? And if anybody else wants to watch it, we can all watch it together and then talk about it. But it was really good. It was really, really, really good. And I'm not huge on like the Atlantis stuff and the mud floods and Coral Castle or whatever. It's not my thing. I only have so much brain space. It's not something that takes much of it. But I still found this wildly interesting. They're talking about like the I don't know the terms, dude, but like the poles that Earth are on, like shifting, and that's why certain animals do this and that. It was insane. It was insane. I was listening to it while I worked, and I had to restart it like twice because I didn't want to miss anything. I was captivated, and I'm not into this stuff, but I was captivated. So I think we're going to run a movie night for this. I'm not sure when, because movie night was Saturday, and now we do this. So maybe it'll be like right before this. Then we'll take a break and then come do this. I'm not sure. We'll talk about it. We'll figure it out. But that might be coming soon. I just noticed the stuffed animals on the desk. How long have they been? They've been there forever. The stuffed animals on the desk have always been there. There used to be more, but now there's less. My daughter helps with that. Some of these are hers. One of them is from my childhood. Yeah, they've always been there. Honestly, I just don't have anything else to put there. Plus, this little guy's pretty cute. We got him at the zoo a couple weeks ago. Messiah 2030 that was great. It's required for all Christians to at least give it a look. Yeah, I agree. Everyone should watch it. Or at least listen to it. It was really interesting. Messiah 2030 was super interesting. Yeah, Ruth, exactly. Ruth, then you want to be there for movie night. Maybe we cancel a Saturday. I don't know. We'll figure it out. We'll talk about it. We'll run a poll. Joe's trying to blame his daughter. Oh no, some of them are absolutely mine, and I very much enjoy them. There is no need in me. I have Beanie Babies from the 90s. No shame whatsoever. They've got the clear little things on the tags. They're in real good shape. If anyone wants to buy a Beanie Baby, hit me up. We got some class A Beanie Babies from the 90s. It's good stuff. My daughter did Saudi Cat though. Oh, Saudi Cat's not here. I'll bring Saudi Cat back. If you don't know what Saudi Cat is, it's a Saudi Arabian cat. Just Google Saudi Cat and you'll know what I'm talking about. My kid made that. Where do I watch it? It's on YouTube. Rodriguez, it's on YouTube. I don't know where your camel is, girl. I don't know. It's here somewhere. It's here somewhere. YouTube. Yeah, YouTube two-parter. Yeah, we'll do movie night. We'll figure it out. We'll figure out the scheduling and whatnot. We'll get that all sorted out. I've got nothing else. And I'm starving. And I woke up at 4 and I'm very tired. Very tired. So I am out of here. But this was lovely. And just remember, I will post the next dates in here. So anything you guys come across over the next week, come to Culture and News. I'll post the new one right now when we get off. Anything interesting, toss it in there, and we will roll with it next week. Tomorrow night, do Bible study, 6 p.m. Central Time. We're doing where we're in Galatians. And Galatians is hot. It's so good. I forgot how good it was. I forgot how much I loved it until we started doing this again. So I'm super excited for that. And then Thursday, we're doing pornography. How it affects relationships, how it affects culture, how it affects kids. Should there be laws around pornography? Should there be ID validation required for it? We'll talk about all that stuff. So kind of continuation off of what we had on Thursday. That is the plan. I love y'all, but I am out. I am out.